Let's see if there's a spark. I swear there was a pretty healthy blue spark on the end of that spark plug. Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Thanks for joining us again. As you've seen from the title, we are back working on the Ariel. I am spending the morning flapping around, rushing around, tidying up, because today is a big day. In the previous episode, we got the tank cleaned out, the carb rebuilt, the oil tank taken off and flushed through and cleaned. If you didn't see that video, go back and have a look, because it's a good one. But we're severely lacking with electrics. So I have been frantically ordering parts. I've got a table full of bits here, and I have got more parts on the way. And also, brother Dan is coming up. He's very kindly given up his day of his busy schedule to come up and give me a hand to try and make sense of what's left of the wiring on the Ariel. I have some ingredients to help us on this journey, as well as all the pile of new parts. I've managed to find an original owner's guide, which has got some information, but no wiring diagrams. But my good friend Sam Lovegrove, he has sent me a photo of a wiring diagram for this bike, an original one. Hopefully that will be the key that we need. That's the treasure map. There's an awful lot of wiring that we need to do to get all of the accessories working, all the 6-volt parts. I ordered a new spark plug. Right. And it's actually an antique old rusty one.
Is that the battery? Cool, bloody hell. That seems a bit excessive, just drive the lights. Oh, it's not a battery inside, it's just a vintage case.
I don't know where it's going to come out.
No. Looks like just a normal battery inside. Modern battery.
Yeah, modern battery in an old house.
Yeah, oh, fair enough.
Look at this.
Let's try one of these in this.
That's a weird looking bulb, isn't it? Oh.
Lovely, yeah.
New.
Has it got the hole for the is that the pilot?
Headlight pilot. I don't know what these are. Stop, they're all in one bag. Look at that fancy thing. One on the end.
Nice.
Lights around the edge and one in the middle.
That one.
Brake light.
That's red then.
That's red. Before we can even think about installing these new parts, we need to get to the old wiring first to see what condition it's in and if we can save any of it. That's probably been on there since 1949.
Something didn't go quite right underneath there. There's not actually a split in it like that other one. It's just
the connectors.
It's a tube. It's got to come off. It's not really connected to it much at the moment. That's handy.
What is happening in this headlight? Why is there so much going on in there? Okay, that's what was all. But even that's the headlight switch. Why are there so many wires?
I think there's some old ones, and someone's re-won some and left the old ones in there because they're inside
This is
that
new.
tube.
This green one.
Yeah, but that's just going to here.
Why?
Brake light. That's the clutch.
That's the clutch.
That's a good
The kill?
question.
The kill switch? No, that's already wired in.
That was for the radio. That was here.
Is that the sat nav?
It's something there, look. Bluetooth module.
Yeah. So that's the regulator. That is just regulating, like evening out the power made from the dynamo. Is that right?
Keeping it to 6 volts or whatever it is. Yeah.
6 volts. So it just makes it so with the higher revs, it doesn't suddenly just the power doesn't keep increasing as the revs increase. It sort of keeps it at 6 volt.
Yeah.
I haven't touched this because I was too nervous. I thought it was best you seeing it.
I think maybe they're like individual bullet connectors inside. One's like a jacking screw, one isn't anymore.
Well, they're just pushed in.
Yeah, these are like little bullet connectors. Ooh. Look at that. Oh dear.
Oh God.
Doesn't look like water's been in there anyway.
Well no, it's been in the basement, it's been in the dry.
Fair weather bike only.
So done, 5,000 miles.
Is it?
Yeah. What are you hoping's in there?
Lots of space.
Yeah, not a lot. Oh my God.
Look.
It looks pristine.
That's pretty fine.
Look at that, it's probably, yeah, I bet it works. Wow. What on earth is that? So although the insides of this regulator look like it's in remarkably good condition compared to the rest of the bike, I have been advised by various people to not rely on it, and terrifyingly I've got a modern replacement. Well, terrifying for me. Dan was quite pleased to see it actually. This just does it in a more modern way, and hopefully we can hide this module inside the housing of the old one. So once it's all together, you'll never know that little bit of technology is hiding inside. Oh, that's satisfying. It was either that or it rounding off. If you ignore all of these coils and windings and all this other stuff, there's quite a nice L-shaped bracket, which if I take all this stuff off, I'm hoping I can screw that to the side of it using the original fixing holes for that L bracket, and then I'll just drill a couple of holes in it to screw this module to. I really do feel quite bad taking this apart. There's so much nice engineering and design that's gone into it, and it all looked in quite nice condition, but it was just not worth messing around with it. It's done. I've taken it apart. We've got a graveyard of lovely parts and screws that I may use somewhere else, and the all-important L bracket. Things are getting more and more complicated. We've now got 3 different wiring diagrams that Dan's trying to make sense of. They're all different. I've just been given the job of, we've got this little cover plate which goes over on the sort of the headlight bowl at the back, and the headlight switch and the amp meter goes in there. So I've been given the task of fitting those. This is a new switch that I've had to replace because the original one was just falling apart. And of course it doesn't fit, so some modification required, but I'm doing all of this bit whilst Dan is over there working his way through all the old wires. I think most of them have had repairs or got damage on them halfway down, so I think most of them one by one are being replaced for new wires. I'm trying to take everything apart, clean it all, keep what I can, make sure springs are here where they should be, keep it nice and clean so we can put new wires where we need to. I've got the Speedo backlight holder in pieces now. There are just wires and stuff everywhere, and Dan's got a pile of bits over there. All the old stuff that's damaged and knackered is off and in a box, so it's good. We're getting piles of work, but lots to do. I'm going up. That's okay with you, isn't it? That way. These wires, these can go up and bend them back down again, and they can solder on.
Yeah,
down there.
I can do that. Yeah.
This spaghetti that Brother Dan is dealing with there is all the new wires that are running to the headlights, and there's a switch there which other powers come from, so there's a lot happening at the front, but the battery's at the back, so this main sort of run over the engine, there's a lot of wires there, so we're just using this little bit of conduit over where the engine is, the same as what it had before, just running new wires, new bit of conduit. We'll tape it in position where it used to be, and we should be a fair chunk of the way there, as long as I can finish all of these other random little jobs. Dan has just told me a piece of gold, a top tip for everybody. He needed a cable tie. I've handed him a fresh, brand new bag of cable ties. And he's like, oh, I can show you how to open it properly now. I was like, well, just cut the top open, like all my other bags of cable ties, which end up on the floor, all in pieces. He's cut a slot in the middle of the bag, so you can fish one out easily enough through the slot, but they won't fall out. Genius. He's very clever. Whilst I was out getting the lunch, Dan has very sneakily soldered the 4 wires on from the new modern regulator in the old housing of the original regulator. They're soldered in place. He knows which wire goes where. He's left some good length on the cables. Thank you very much. Very good.
When it snaps off.
Yeah, we can redo it 4 times when they're in the wrong order. The cap fits, thank goodness for that. Little spring clip clips over the top and holds that top housing in place. In every detail, looks exactly like the original. Once that's bolted on the bike, you'll never know that there's actually some modern electronics in there, hidden inside the old housing. Even the terminals for the wires are going to be the same as the original. It should just give us a little bit more reliability for the bike, hopefully. Right, lunchtime. I'm going a slightly different route to the Tiger. That turned out to be an absolute minefield, a nightmare, and a lot of time was lost in trying to figure it out.
How's this going to ever start from a kick?
It ain't. You need a battery.
Yeah. Honestly, I really thought it would go.
So I thought we'd try something different this time and do it all back to stock. Yes, there might be some LED bulbs to help the dynamo a little bit, but it's staying 6 volt. This has got a magneto, a dynamo, headlight, running light. We're keeping up the standard headlight just as it should be. There's a headlight switch as well that we're going to try and reinstate. I have been kept busy up on the bench doing my headlight switch and other little brackets and bits and bobs, the regulator bracket, which are all done. And actually the regulator is now going back in. Dan has figured out all the wiring, all new with those weird little bullet terminal ends on the ends. We're looking good, Dan?
Yeah.
We're looking good.
It's going to be tricky. Where's the other screw gone?
Wendy's probably eaten it. That is the regulator wired up and installed and bolted back in place permanently. Dan is now doing the 2 wires going to the dynamo. So my next job is to figure out this. This is a new Lucas rear light, actually made by Lucas, which is nice. This is a running light and a brake light. I've got the remains of one of these still on the license plate holder on the back of the bike, so I'm going to try and get that one off and figure out how best I can get this on. Oh.
I guess we need to figure out this brake light situation.
Brake light bulb out. We decided that one. Do you like these LED bulbs or not? You have no opinion yet until they work. Is this a bit ambitious putting the lens on? Or are we fully confident?
No, yes.
Yeah. That's the rear light installed, fully committing and putting the lens on as well, even though we don't actually know the wiring works yet, but we trust Dan. He's now working on the front and dealing with the spaghetti that's in the headlight bowl, but it's all looking quite neat. Brake light switch, that's probably the last semi-complicated thing to do before we can actually plug the battery in and see if anything works. Every time Brother Dan comes down to the workshop, I am just in awe at what he does. I'm blown away how he can just turn up completely blind to something like this, where all the wires are one colour, and manage to work out which wire goes where, introduce all the new wiring. I've given him 3 different wiring diagrams. They're all a bit different, and somehow he manages to make sense of it all, know where all the wires go, and make it happen time after time. Honestly, it really baffles me, and I'm so glad that I can call on Brother Dan when I get myself into situations like this. So we are wiring up a horn and a horn button, but the only horn that I've got is the 12 volt horn. I think it was left over from the Vespa. I found it on the racking up there. I had it for ages, but that's my fault for not buying a 6 volt horn, because all the battery and all the rest of the electrics are 6 volt as they are originally. So we might have a weak horn until I can find a 6 volt horn, if it works at all. Building up to this moment all day. Well, this is a big moment. This is it. That after all day of messing around with these wires, that's it. It's on. Positive and negative, connected. Hey!
Oh, it works all right.
It works. The 12 volt horn's perfect. Do it again. Yes.
That's good enough for 6 volts, isn't it? Yeah.
One down. The horn's working. Brake light.
I mean, it's not close to the brake. I'm just pulling on the switch.
Yeah. That's very bright.
That must be the brake. Okay.
Very bright. The rear brake light is working. The rear side light is on. The speedo backlight.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, the switch is great. Good quality.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is working. We need to test the headlight, but I haven't got the bulb holder with me at the moment, so I'm going to try and hold my fingers on the wires and see if we can get the headlight working. There's a pilot light, the headlight, and high and low beam, so there's quite a lot of lights and bulbs that have to work in the headlight. Earth.
This is the headlight, main light.
We've got two, right, earth on there, on the side.
Yeah, this is the headlight.
And then headlight.
Yeah.
On there.
Yeah.
No, okay. This one will give me electric shock.
Just don't touch it on the body.
Oh my god.
That's just the side lights.
Yeah. Oh my. Okay.
Yeah.
That's both. But then if I go, oh wait, hang on.
Yeah. That one. Oh, okay.
Only one side.
Yeah.
So that's double bubble.
I say I need one more anyway to do both. Just doing the big one.
Just do both.
Yeah.
Just go big.
Just go onto that one and that gives you both.
And then if you go to low beam, the pilot
just goes off.
Yeah.
The pilot will be on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bloody brilliant. That's it.
Magic.
Full house. A couple of days have passed since we were last here. Brother Dan is now long gone, and he left me with very strict instructions on how to finish the wiring in the headlight bucket to get the headlights on once I actually had the bulb holders, which I'm very pleased to say I've got. They're on and they are working. Low is the pilot light, high is the headlight, and as the headlight comes on, the pilot light goes out, which Sam Lovegrove said should happen. The brake light is also working. I need to attach the spring and the rod to actually make it work on the pedal, but I haven't rebuilt the whole pedal mechanism yet, so I haven't connected that up. But the brake light is working. So that's it. We are pretty much done for all of the sort of accessory 6-volt side of the wiring, which means we need to turn our attention to the engine. Dan is not here anymore, so he can't test it with me, but I'm going to see if I can have a look at whether the bike has got a spark. We've got a problem straight away. Top of the engine has got these two cast aluminium covers. In there is all the rockers, the bits that push the valves up and down. There's these open circles in the top, which have little screw-on caps. When you need to set the tappets, you need to be able to get in there. There's one intake valve and one exhaust valve. The intake valve had the cap in place. I've unscrewed it, and inside looks lovely. It looks really nice and clean, amazingly nice and clean. Some of you noticed in the last video actually that the exhaust cap, this cap on the exhaust valve, was missing. Someone's taken it off. That has unfortunately let moisture, atmosphere, humidity, and anything else get in there. Before I keep kicking it over too many times, I just wanted to see if anything bad was happening, and it was. There's a shaft that runs through this that pivots, which is driven by rods in these bars. It's all seized up. It's moving barely, so as I'm kicking it over, it's moving it, it's forcing it, it's the rod's pushing it up, and that's opening the valve, and it's opening and closing. It's doing it, but it's very, very stiff. And I'm worried that from me kicking it over, I may have bent something in there. I'm taking this cover off so we can have a proper look at what's happening in here. So that should be moving. It's moving, but it's very stiff. I've just slid out the push rod. This basically turns the drive from the cam, which is in the bottom of the engine, to the top of the engine where the valves and the rocker gear is. And that is, I think, what I may have bent if I've forced things too much. It looks okay on first inspection. It's quite solid, but I will probably take both of these out just so I can have a proper look inside, a good clean up inside, new gaskets, free up all of the mechanism, make sure it's all nice and lubricated. And actually this gives me a good way in to the bottom of the engine, the actual crankcase, where I can put some more oil in there, because that looks incredibly dry. That is the part that was seized onto that shaft. So both of these bits, well, all of these pieces are now going to get a very good clean. Hopefully that will clean up okay. cleaning, degreasing, buffing, polishing, deburring. Finally, I've got a tray full of clean parts ready to put this little rocker box back together. This axle been polished up nicely. I've cleaned that in there. Hopefully you can see in there. It's not scored, it's not damaged, it looks pretty good in there. I've made sure this is nice and clean. This is hollow up till halfway. The oil comes in and comes out here, and I've made sure that that is perfectly clean through there. I was missing a nut for the end of the oil line. New gasket, new washer there, that spring for inside. The actual tappet, I've got a new one with a new adjuster nut just in case. I have been having a little bit of a dilemma with myself. The oil feed pipe comes up from the bottom of the engine up to the top of this rocker box, and where that fixes onto the actual shaft where the oil comes through, I took off copper washers. They were too far gone and distorted, and I thought there's no way they're going to go again. But I don't think it should have copper washers. I think it should have fibre washers. So I'm going to go with the fibre washers. Anybody that out there knows, I apologise now if they're wrong. I'll soon find out if they're wrong because it will leak, but it's not too much of a hassle to take them off and put some actual copper ones on. So I'm going to put all this together. Whilst I'm assembling it, I'll put some oil in between all the surfaces to make sure it's all running nicely. Most importantly, this now moves perfectly easy. Perfect. I have taken off the oil feed pipe that goes from the oil pump up to the top of the engine. I've blown it through with the airline, cleaned it out, and as you can see, there's bubbles coming out of each end, which tells me the air is passing through. It's not clogged, it's not blocked. It's all looking good. Time for reassembly. That has all gone on really nicely and is looking really good. The only problem is I kind of need to do the intake side now because I can't just do one. That's not fair, is it? Here we go again. As if by magic, that's the other intake rocker box, stripped apart, all cleaned up, polished up, re-greased, new gaskets, new seals, put back together. And as you can see, when I kick the engine over now, tappet adjuster just going up and down, that is pushing on the end of the valve, opening the valve, and doing what it should be doing. I'm glad I've done that. The oil line is also hooked up on the other side of the engine. I've kicked it over and there's oil coming out, which is really good. I think I'm almost ready to start looking at the magneto to see if it's got a spark. But it's about 7:30 at night now and I'm done for the day. So I will see you bright and early in the morning. Dare I say it? Are we going to try and see if it will cough into life? I've been here all morning making some progress on the Ariel. I've set the points gap, I've set the gap on the spark plug. It's all looking good. Let's see if there's a spark. There was a spark. You saw it as well. I swear there was a pretty healthy blue spark on the end of that spark plug. We are cooking now. Get that plug screwed back in the head, put the tank back on, get some fuel, and let's see what mess we can make. I'm not saying the magneto doesn't need rebuilding, but there was enough of a spark there for me to want to have a go and see what we can get to happen. Right, that's fuel open. Hopefully you saw it there bubbling through the fuel line. Hopefully the carb's not leaking after I've had a go at rebuilding it. I need to give that little tickle, which basically lets fuel from the float chamber into the carb, sort of primes it essentially. Let's see what happens. But don't hold your breath. We're not going to kick this over first kick and it start running and sitting here ticking over. I'm just looking for it to cough and give me a sign that there's life. Come on. What is wrong? Oh, so disappointed. I've been encouraging myself and thinking, yes, it's gonna fight, it's gonna spring to life. I've tried so much, I'm so out of breath. There are just too many different reasons why it's not firing. I've got a feeling the spark is not either consistent enough, or my advanced retard, kind of the manual lever is not quite in the right place. Who knows? What is going on? Why won't it just fire? Maybe it's to do with all of the oil that I put in the combustion chamber. I don't know. I really thought that we would get it going. I need to put this to one side for now, get on with some other jobs that are needing to be done, including a tidy up because the workshop is an absolute mess. Get my breath back. I'll sleep on this and give it some thought. Hopefully John's up at the weekend. I'll chat with him, probably call Sam Lovegrove. And again, he's been so helpful with the wiring. We did have to give him a call. He's so helpful. He knows these things inside out. This is purely due to my lack of knowledge, but that's why I'm working on these things. I'm enjoying learning. I'm enjoying the journey. Not gonna lie, this is definitely a low point. I'm gutted, but we'll get there. Goodness me. Thank you so much for watching. Show your support for the channel and click the subscribe button. It really means a lot to us. Thank you so much to all the new subscribers that we've got over the last few weeks as well. Welcome to the workshop, welcome to the channel. I promise all the videos won't be as disappointing as this one. Anyone's got any ideas, leave me a comment, let me know what I've done wrong. Damn it. Next time, we'll get it next time. Thanks for watching.